Hello, Leo, and welcome to Soul Guidance with Adriana. I'm a transformational life coach and abundance consultant. I help you choose growth. I've got an intuitive message for you today about your spiritual journey. And although I'm holding up this card right now, we are going to actually come back to it at the end. Okay, we start your reading with the Four of Cups. Do not neglect your heart. Do not neglect your emotions this week, Leo, how you're truly feeling. There is a feeling deep inside of you that you are partially aware of, painfully aware of perhaps, to the point where you're not ready to express it. You're not ready to talk about it, and you don't want anyone to see it. But because you're just allowing this emotional energy to sit there, you're kind of blasé about everything else. You're kind of non-committal about anything else. Part of your heart needs to be recognized, that pain in your heart needs to be recognized, because what's happening is your entire heart is pulling back. I think the imagery of this card describes it really perfectly. So this is that part of your heart that you're keeping protected because it's feeling hurt. And then as a result, these cups, the interactions with other people, they don't have any water in them. They don't have any flow, any substance, any love in them. And look at her expression. If that's not checked out, then I don't know what is. So because your heart hasn't been able to fully process that emotion, you haven't allowed it to, your biggest strength is not available for other people either. It's not there when you're interacting with others. You're not there. You're somewhere else. Okay, energy to help you, the rebirth energy that is challenging or not beneficial to you this week, the Magician. Okay, in order to move on, which is what our magician wants you to do, magician wants to carve that new way forward and start making magic, that magical start to your new life. In order to do that, we need to go through this rebirth process first. And rebirth means what? To give birth to something means to release something new that you've created. To rebirth yourself means to commit to your transformation, means to commit to your own creation of yourself. To cut off what doesn't work and to step forward into what does. And holding on to that emotion that you're not willing to face in yourself means that you're denying yourself from really feeling the truth, really seeing the truth about yourself. And you can't step forward into your new self until that part of you has been acknowledged and dealt with. Once that emotion is seen and acknowledged and felt and then can be processed and released, then you're free to move on and you're free to move forward in a new way. But it's holding on to this emotion here that's not helping. So in an extreme example, if someone is going through grief over losing a relationship, over losing a partner, over losing even a job, and they're holding on to that grief, and they're holding on to that grief so much that it becomes part of them. There's a grieving period, and then there's a time to move on. But sometimes when we hold on beyond the grieving period, then we can't actually move forward, right? So let's take the example of someone who's lost a spouse. Grieving, and then they keep grieving, and now the identity of I'm alone, I will always be alone becomes part of them. And maybe they don't want that identity, but because they're burying that cup so far down that they can't release it, there's no way they can ever invite a new relationship into their life, because they've created a story, they've created an energy density that has to do with an identity about being alone. Once this emotion is released, once they would say, okay, yes, I loved my spouse. Yes, I am sad that they're gone, but I understand it was their time. And because I love myself, I'm going to move on. I'm going to love myself enough to move on. And I know that I'm blessed in doing this. Then they can walk through this rebirth door. Then the grief has become a transformative process, which has given birth to a stronger person with an even deeper capacity to love. And, it doesn't happen overnight, but Leo, what you're holding on to is not helping you anymore. What emotion you're burying in your heart has gone on too long. It's really time to release it. And I want to jump, I will draw some more cards to you, but I do want to jump to our animal card, the wolf, authenticity, being real with yourself. If you're attracting people that are fake or that aren't truthful, that you're finding out aren't really integral, it's because there's something in you that is resonating with that frequency. And what you're not being honest about is that emotional hurt, that emotional pain. Okay, and this will, they're just staring each other down, right? That's the true self, the higher self coming to say, look, this is who you are. And the intensity of this card is echoed in the rebirth card, because the rebirth card is like Judgment Day in the Bible. There's no wiggle room. Either you were good or you're bad. You're going up or you're going down. You're not staying in the middle. And same thing with all of this. You can't hide this emotional hurt. You can't really bury it because it's affecting everything. You can't pretend it's not there because it's affecting everything. So this is really a chance to give yourself the space to heal, give yourself the space to acknowledge, so that you can move forward in all the different areas. It's also another meaning of a magician here, because magician's got all the components of life: swords, thoughts, cups, emotions, water, pentacles, material things, and wands, passion, drive. Those are the building blocks of our world. And you can't move forward in the world with any of those building blocks until you get this one cup resolved within yourself. Okay, looking at some other cards, Princess of Swords and Eight of Wands, but going off in different ways. Okay, you cannot detach from this particular... So you may understand intellectually what's going on with the energy, but the Eight of Wands is asking you to do something about it so that you can shift your future. Perhaps communicating about it is good, talking to someone you trust, writing it out, getting a session with someone. Getting this energy out is what's necessary. Keeping it in and thinking about it is not going to get it out. It needs to come out of your field. Okay, my cards want me to return here, back to the wolf. Thinking about how powerful your authentic self really is. And if you are in pain, expressing that you are in pain is a powerful thing to do. It's not weakness. Saying how you're truly feeling, how you're authentically feeling, even if it's coming from a place of vulnerability, is one of the most powerful and strong things you can do. And this wolf card is inspiring you, trying to inspire you to tap into that strength of being real. Okay, Leo, thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your time and energy with me. I really appreciate seeing you here every week. If you have a comment that you'd like to leave, I would love to see it, love to read it. And I'd also love to encourage you to check out my solstice readings on soulguidancewithadriana.com. They're finally available again. They're not available all year long. So this is a limited time offer, but it's a really special reading. And I'd love to do one for you with all sorts of advice on how to move forward in the best and most spiritual way possible. So I'll look forward to seeing you next time, Leo. Have a good one.